Hello and welcome to another great episode of the Great Debaters Contest. I am your host, Austin Nyombok.
And I am Mariam Bishar.
Assuming that since I am a parent, I should not be corrected by my own child or by fellow parents, so should heads of state be immune to prosecution?
Handling this debate will be the very lovely ladies from Kenya High School. They promise to bring refined debate to the stage. Their formidable opponents are the young men of Jamhuri High, who have team spirit that reminds you of a World Cup winning football team. We hope they give us their best.
The motion this week is heads of state should be immune to prosecution. Proposing the motion, Jamhuri High School. Opposing the motion, Kenya High School.
Each contestant has 3 minutes to make their submissions. The audience also gets a chance to put their questions to each team. Each side will have an additional 1 minute to make a final statement. The judge's decision is final. The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with the widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.
Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
I'm here to propose the motion which reads, heads of state should be immune to prosecution. We have to ask ourselves who is a head of state and what's to be immune and what's a prosecution, so that we can understand properly about this motion. A head of state is a leader of government or a sovereign country. It's a highly ranked constitutional position in any sovereign state. To be immune means to be protected and shielded from something that you are able to avoid it. And prosecution is process of conducting a legal proceedings against somebody in a court of law. It's a process of trying to prove that somebody is guilty of committing a crime in a court of law. Going to my points about this discussion is that a leader, a head of state is a national pride, is a national unity. He is a symbol of national unity, a symbol of national pride, a symbol of national coherence. We regard these leaders as being inviolable as well as being sacred. So if we take such leaders to court to prosecute them and to try to prove them guilty, what are we doing? Are we not creating intimidations? Are we allowing them to effectively do their duties? Are we allowing them? Because when a leader is liable to prosecution, that implies that he or she can be sued by any person at will at any time. And furthermore, we know that there is no leader who has no enemies. Even the smallest of leaders, prefects, captains, have enemies in schools. So, if we make our leaders be liable to prosecutions, what about their enemies? They will look for every chance possible that they can prove them that they are wrong and they are not capable of ruling their people. Is that what we want for our leaders? I want to give you examples about how the world feels about their leaders. We can take, for example, Nigeria. Section 308 of Nigerian Constitution of 1999 proves that a president is not accountable to any person. Norway, Article 5, Belgium, Article 88. All these articles prove that leaders are immune to prosecution so that they can carry out their duties effectively. Thank you and God bless.
Kenya High School, you may give your opening remarks. You have 3 minutes.
Good day, everyone. Evening Kihara from the Kenya High School. The proposer has said that a head of state is a head of government. Now, a head of state is not necessarily a head of government. Just to give you an example of the United Kingdom, the Queen is the head of state. However, she's not the head of government. He also talked about the fact that the head of state having enemies. Now, criticism to a leader should be an encouragement and not something that should make you fear. I believe that for you to be viable as a leader, you should be courageous enough to stand up to your enemies. We're saying that heads of state should be immune to persecution. This clearly defies the Rome Statute. The Rome Statute clearly states that everyone is equal before the law without distinction of official capacity. It is therefore outrageous to put an individual before the law simply because he holds the head of state in the name of immunity. And we're contradicting the purpose of the term that everyone is equal before the law. This brings me to my second point. In Africa, most African countries have actually had dictatorial systems of government. You see, some countries such as the Democratic Republic of Congo and also Uganda, our neighbors, under the leadership of former President Idi Amin Dada. These leaders were not immune to persecution by law. However, you could see the impact that the leadership had on the countries. So you can imagine, if we actually made these leaders immune to persecution, how much more harm would they have caused to their countries? And majority of these dictators actually die in office. If a head of state actually knew that they are immune to persecution, they would do everything in their power to remain in office so that they are not charged for criminal offenses committed. Ask yourself, if they were made immune to persecution, how would Africa be? Majority of the African leaders who are dictators actually die before they are out of office. This will mean that they die before they are actually charged for the offenses committed, and justice is not served at the end of the day. It is therefore outrageous, it is unfair to actually have justice not served to the citizens of a country whereby they have been led by dictatorship, subjected to pain and misery, and so much more. That is all. Thank you.
Time now for rebuttals from the proposing team. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you for giving this opportunity to speak in front of you today. I go by the prefix Edson and the suffix Amugune. In front of you is a person who is extremely disappointed by our very worthy contenders over here, Kenya High, for not clearly knowing what they are talking about. Kenya High are talking about Rome Statute. This Rome Statute is in line with the international law, which clearly provides for presidents their immunity as heads of states. So I'm wondering, what are they talking about? First of all, before I go to my first point, I want to correct them. Because we are trying to say that we are not refusing a leader to be charged. We're just giving a leader immunity during his tenure in office. Are we together? On to my first point. According to Kenya's constitution, Article 153, Chapter 12, it states clearly that no head of state or president should be charged or given criminal charges during his tenure in office. In accordance to the same is the international law, which states clearly that no head of state should be charged during his tenure in office. So who are we to go against the constitution? Who are we, moreover, to go against the international law that has been accepted all around the world? Now you tell me. I want to talk about religious doctrines. All of us, I guess, believe in religion. And I've read a number of religion doctrines, from Bibles to Qurans to all the Hindu religious books. The Bible states clearly in Proverbs 21:1, you can confirm that please, that the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. And in Romans 13, it says that the Lord gives authority to the leaders. Now let me ask you, my fellow countrymen, let me call you that for once. How can we go against the Constitution and then go against God? Is that logical? Is it really logical? Yes, that's pretty amazing. Anyhow, let me not exhaust all the points since time is up. Thank you.
Opposing team, you may give your rebuttal. You also have 3 minutes.
Members of this house, a good day to you. My name is Susan Mekwe from the Kenya High School. And first and foremost, he claimed about the Bible giving a chance for every king to be under God's law. But the same Bible says that God rebukes those that he loves. So he should rebuke those that commit crimes. Then, yes, the Rome Statute may be providing for the allowance of the president to be immune. But that is why we are here. That is why we are debating and challenging that law, because we need to change it. That's why we are here. So I'll go to my points. Daniel Bekele, a political activist, once said that the notion that heads of state should have immunity for war crimes, genocides, and crimes against humanity is not only appallingly self-serving, but also repugnant. Why should the perpetrators of violence be the ones to rule us, be the ones to serve us, be the ones to preach peace to us? Aren't they preaching water and drinking wine? Those are the same people holding human blood. Those are the people who are corrupt. Then immunity would also encourage cowardly politics by allowing the leaders to take part in refuge, or they would just take refuge under the mercies of this immunity. The system would encourage them not to censor themselves. Hence, they just keep on telling us that I am innocent and the law is protecting us. But what are they doing? They're just protecting them. We should be focusing on economic issues. We should be focusing on political issues to thrive us, not only on making us know that they are innocent. The fact that they have been accused against something means that they have already a case to answer. Then Pepe Minambo, in his book, Beatitude of Success, defines leaders as agents of transformation, shapers of nations, and dealers in hope. Leaders should be examples to our nations. Leaders should not be the ones committing crimes. And yes, if they do, it's okay. But why should they commit crimes when they are in power? They should be aware that they are the ones to light the path for us. They are the ones to show us the way forward. Fourth, absolute power corrupts absolutely. When you give them immunity, you give them a leeway to make mistakes. You tell them that they can do what they wish as long as they are in power. You tell them that you can be corrupt, you can promote tribalism. But that's not the case. If these people are counted at first, that is what will help us, and especially as Africans. This should not continue. Presidents and heads of state should face prosecution. They should not just be let go. I rest my case. Thank you.
Two questions for the proposers, please.
I'm Purity Macau from Gathirema Girls, and I have a question to the proposing side. They have really misquoted the chapter 12 of the Kenyan Constitution. It is actually under the public finance, and can kindly the proposing side quote the correct chapter they're making reference to?
Thank you very much. I'm Johnson from the ECD High School, and my question goes to the proposers. How is this motion going to be beneficial to the citizens of Kenya? Can you please elaborate?
May we have two questions for the opposing side, please?
My name's Nicholas Mutinda from Islia School. My question goes to the first opposer, who stated that we have dictators who have left their powers before they are prosecuted. I would urge him to tell us about the examples of dictators who have been prosecuted before, who have died before they have left their powers.
I'm Frank Agina from Staria Boys. My question is about the prosecution of heads of state. As you've seen in the Kenyan case, the Eurobond, one of the risks under the Eurobond is the ICC cases. Do you think it will make us economically unstable?
Third speaker from the proposing side may take the stage.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this opportunity. I'm Mohamed Ahmed from Jamhuri High School. Going to the first question from our young lady there, who disputed our quotation from the Constitution. According to Article 153 of the Constitution, it states that any head of state is not liable to prosecution while during his tenure of office. So I would like you to check that on better. And the other question was, how will this motion be beneficial to the citizens of this country? How will a head of state being immune to prosecution be beneficial to us? Well, the head of state was elected by the people to serve the people. Now how will this be possible if the head of state, he has to make regular appearances in court? How will this be possible? The president must be present 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the people to serve him. And going to my point, the foreign states may declare our head of state a persona non grata. Who is this? This is a person who is generally not welcome in other states. Can we afford to do that? Our head of state, he visits our country and he's told, you cannot enter this country. How is that? So, please, to those who are saying that, I will request you to find and keep and take your righteous mind, because you seem to have obviously lost it. The other thing is about the constitutional crisis. If any head of state is removed from office before his time, the general 5 years, and also some other countries, they have another time limit. But if a head of state is removed from the office before his 5 years, this will lead to a constitutional crisis. It can even lead to civil war. If, for example, in Kenya, we had in 2007, we had elections, and one party, it was not agreeing with the election result, and there was chaos. What if now we remove a president who has still not yet served his time? This will lead to even more violence, which we do not want surely as Kenyans. On 21st November 2013, the sitting of state parties argued that incitement of head of state, it will lead to instability and insecurity in Africa. And that's what has been leading to insecurity in Africa. For example, in Egypt, when Mohamed Morsi, he was being removed from the office by the general and Sisi, there was protests in the country. It even led to the death of many people. Why? Because the head of state who was sitting was removed from office before his time even had reached. When a head of state is in trial for any criminal proceedings, his country has the risk of facing economic sanction, as we have seen. For example, in Libya, when Muammar Gaddafi was there as the sitting head of state, they were facing economic sanction just because their leader was being accused of something. That's a mere suspicion. We cannot allow citizens to face that just because of the wrongdoing of one person. Thank you for listening.
A member of the opposers, opposer number 3, you can respond to the audience.
A good day to everyone in the hall. My name is Esperanza Nasimiyu Kapanga from the Kenya High School, and I'm here to oppose the motion that heads of state would be immune to prosecution. First, I'd like to answer the first question that was posed to our side. He asked for examples of the dictators who have died in power before being prosecuted for their mistakes. I'll start with Mobutu Sese Seko. This was a dictator in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And before he was prosecuted for the mistakes for his crimes against humanity, he died. And what does that mean? He never got to face the consequences of his actions. He never got to answer to the people of DRC for all the wrongdoings that he did unto them. Shall we then say that immunity being given to the heads of state is still fair in such a situation? Let me move on to someone else, like Idi Amin, closer home, just from Uganda across the border. This man ran into exile after having killed Ugandans, after having made people suffer in the country of Uganda, after having committed crimes against humanity. And then we stand and say that such a person should be given immunity against prosecution. Don't you think it is appalling? It's unfair. It's insensitive to the emotions of the people who suffer under such hands. It's not even something to consider at this stage. Then I also have the example of Charles Taylor, the 22nd president of Liberia. This man was also on the list of those who committed crimes against humanity. He tortured the people of Liberia as a dictator. By the time he was being prosecuted, there was so much harm that was done in Liberia that it would take so much time to bring the country back to the state at which it was. So do we still say that we will give such a person immunity, that such a person will make a country fall from the heights of development and take a nosedive into economic regression, leading to the country failing in terms of economy, in terms of their social lives, in terms of politics, just because we want to make this person preserve the dignity of the law? I don't think so. Such a person should be made to face the consequences of their actions. Then again, I think the reason why we are here is to challenge the law, is to say that this law that is in place, the one that is being stated about the Rome Statute, that these people are immune to persecution while they're in power. We are here to challenge it. We are here to bring the negative side of it. And this is what we are saying. If you would like to say that people, he did say that the leaders should wait until after their term to be prosecuted. They also brought in the aspect of the Bible, that they should be given forgiveness. They should be left not to face the consequences simply because they're the presidents. But then again, don't you think it is insensitive to sideline the emotions of the people who suffer in the cases of crimes against humanity? Don't you think it is not fair to make a country suffer just because this one person is doing something that is wrong? I think this person should face the mistakes. Then again, our last proposer did say something about being impeached, that the president should be removed from power. The motion clearly states immunity against prosecution, not impeachment. So what are we saying? This person is just being charged for their mistakes. We're not necessarily saying that he's going to be removed from power. Thank you.
We'll now get closing remarks from the proposing team. You have a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think the young lady is forgetting one thing, that a prosecution can lead to impeachment. Because if you are found guilty, then you can no longer be the head of state. Gandhi believes that one must accord respect and love to his opponents, even if they are shallow debaters. A small hole can sink a whole ship. So you don't have to remove a speck from somebody's eyes when there is a log in your eyes. The problem is not with our leaders. And I affirm that the problem is not with our leaders. It is with me and you, because we are the ones who put them in place. So, if you are the one who put him in place, why do you want to prosecute him? Why not wait until he finishes his term and not choose him again? Thank you, and God bless.
Opposing team, you may give us your final remarks. You have 1 minute.
The last proposer did say that being prosecuted might lead to impeachment. I think that is already claiming the guilt of a head of state. I think it is clear that if immunity is required, dear friends, it's an implication of guilt on the part of the leader. If we are giving them immunity, it means we are implying that we already know that they're guilty of whatever mistake they're being taken to court for. But then it is common knowledge that a good leader should place themselves above reproach, not by a simple statement of law. They should place themselves above reproach by their ethics, by their virtues, by the things that they do and their proper conduct before the nation. So in such cases, we look at leaders such as the late Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa. He was a president of virtue, a president of ethics. Such a man is the leader, the kind of leader that we would want our leaders to emulate. Someone like Mahatma Gandhi, he's someone who we would want our leaders to emulate. So then, giving them immunity is giving them a ticket to make mistakes, and then they can hide under the law and say that there's really no problem with whatever they're doing, they won't face consequences. Then how can someone maintain the title of a leader if there's a question of immunity from prosecution, if they really are not guilty? Thank you.
Jamhuri High School, Suleiman, thank you for defining the terms and the motion. Fair mastery of language, use your quotations well. a small lake will sink a great ship, all right? Edson, your role is cross-examination, and I think you didn't really come out well as a cross-examiner. It's not wrong to quote the Bible. However, it's a book of reference. Anyone can quote any book. However, when you're referring to that, don't just jump into a book in the Bible. It's good to say that in the Bible, in this particular book, this is what it says, and stand for that, okay? Mohammed, you have a very passionate delivery, just that you need to work on your mastery of language. However, you did well. Kenya High School, good teamwork. I think I have one-liners for the girls. Evelyn, you did well overall. Susan, good cross-examination. You're a good speaker. Esperantia, good to see you back, and you're very good. However, you time bad. Keep going after the bell.
Kenya High, Evelyn, quite fluent, and good way to state your case. I just say that you're intelligent in the way you handle the motion. Migwi, fairly good rebuttal. I'm saying fairly because a lot could be done still in rebuttal. It was a fairly good rebuttal, and good analysis of the issues raised. Sententious topic sentences, those are the good things that we are looking for. If you have a topic sentence, you preview an issue before you bring it into full focus. You have our attention, and I say you are quite orderly and organized. Kapanga, intelligent debater as always. You never disappoint when you stand on stage to speak. You are calm, you are composed, you are confident, you are quite orderly in your presentation. One thing to say also is that the motion is quite sensitive. To the two teams also, I think we shall applaud you for playing it safe. Thank you.
This topic needed a lot of research and a lot of reading. And I think we saw that evidenced in some of the speakers. Mohammed, you came in last, but I think you demonstrated a well-read debater. To Kenya High, Evelyn, I like the fact that you when they said that a head of state is a head of government, I was hoping that somebody would raise that, so I was happy that you did. Very good mastery of language, and you demonstrate organized thought as you speak. Do not read articles in isolation. And I think the problem, with some of the debaters today is the fact that you were reading clauses out of, in isolation. Read it, with other clauses or other articles in mind, so that you're not challenged with regards to what you're saying. All the best to the two teams.
Thank you, judges. A lot has been said, but down to it, it's a game of numbers. The judges gave Jamhuri High 60%, and your victors for today are Kenya High School with 74.5%. Please give them a hand.
You still remember that this time it's not about who wins the debate, it's actually about how many points you garner so that you can proceed to the nationals. And therefore, Kenya High seemed to be in what can I say, the safe zone. But for Jamhuri, you just have to keep your fingers crossed. And from all of us here at the Great Debaters Contest, I am your host, Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. We'll see you next time.
The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with the widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together, they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.